Nero's Rome, A Tale of Grandeur, Tyranny, and the Great Fire. You're likely familiar with the grandeur and historical legacy of the great city of Rome. Among its unforgettable events, one of the most iconic is the Great Fire of Rome, which raged for 6 days and devastated much of the city. The tale that captured the world's attention involves Emperor Nero, notorious for his cruel and oppressive rule over the Roman people. According to legend, Nero watched the city burn while playing a lyre, seemingly pleased with the destruction before him. However, this claim remains highly controversial. Was it true, or was it simply a product of hatred and bias against Nero? Even today, historians continue to debate the truth behind this story. In this video, we dive deep into the facts and myths surrounding this infamous event to uncover whether Nero truly deserves the blame. Watch until the end and share your thoughts in the comments. The reign of Emperor Nero, one of the most infamous figures in ancient Roman history, remains shrouded in controversy. His rule brought architectural marvels and grand spectacles, but also an era of brutality, political paranoia, and catastrophic events, none more infamous than the Great Fire of Rome. Nero's ambition and excess cast a shadow over Rome, setting the stage for one of the most turbulent periods in its history. The opulence of Nero's Rome. Rome under Nero was a city of immense opulence. While the Colosseum had not yet been built, the city's architectural splendor reflected the empire's grandeur, with monuments like the Pantheon and luxurious public baths. Nero himself indulged in these displays of wealth, commissioning the extravagant Domus Aurea, Golden House, a palace of unprecedented scale, covered in gold and adorned with elaborate mosaics, fountains, and gardens filled with exotic plants and animals. This opulence was a stark contrast to the lives of the average Roman. Most of the city's citizens lived in crowded, often unsafe housing and faced heavy taxation to support Nero's excesses. The divide between the lavish world of the emperor and the struggles of ordinary Romans became a growing source of resentment. Nero's rise to power. Nero's journey to the throne was built on political strategy rather than military conquest. Born Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, he was the son of Agrippina the Younger, a formidable figure at court. Through a marriage to Emperor Claudius, Agrippina secured her son's succession. When Claudius died under suspicious circumstances, many believed Agrippina had poisoned him. Nero was declared emperor at just 16 years old. In his early reign, Nero was heavily influenced by his mother and trusted advisors, the philosopher Seneca and the prefect Burrus. Their guidance fostered a period of relative stability. However, as Nero grew more independent, he dismissed his mentors, clashing with his mother and distancing himself from Seneca's influence. His rule took a darker turn as he increasingly pursued personal power and pleasure, adopting an increasingly autocratic and self-indulgent style. Nero's cruelty and the people of Rome. Nero's reign was characterized by an intensifying cruelty. His obsessions with art, theater, and grand spectacles led him to spend lavishly on public games and festivals, depleting the empire's treasury. Citizens were heavily taxed to finance these indulgences, heightening their discontent. The emperor's ruthless tendencies also manifested in his personal life. His own family and inner circle became targets of his paranoia. Nero arranged the murder of his mother, Agrippina, when she became a threat to his rule, and later ordered the execution of his first wife, Octavia. Even his second wife, Poppaea Sabina, allegedly died at his hand during a violent outburst. Nero's sense of insecurity deepened as his reign continued. He saw conspiracies everywhere and had numerous senators, military leaders, and even former allies exiled or executed. Public executions became a form of entertainment, reinforcing Nero's image as a tyrant who valued his own security over the welfare of his people. The Great Fire of Rome. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE marked a turning point in Nero's rule and cemented his reputation as a despotic ruler. The fire broke out near the Circus Maximus and spread rapidly, engulfing much of the city, including homes, temples, and public buildings. The blaze lasted 6 days, leaving large portions of Rome in ruins. For Nero, the devastation presented an opportunity to reconstruct Rome according to his own grand vision. He proposed ambitious rebuilding projects, which included expanding his Domus Aurea. While some ancient sources claim that Nero was away at his villa in Antium and did little to aid the city, he later opened public buildings and gardens to shelter those displaced by the fire. However, the image of Nero allegedly fiddling while Rome burned, though historically inaccurate, as fiddles didn't exist at the time, has persisted as a symbol of his apathy and excess. The fire's aftermath also led to one of the earliest recorded persecutions of Christians in Rome. Some sources allege that Nero blamed the Christian community for the fire, inciting brutal executions and establishing an image of Nero as a persecutor. Although historians debate whether this blame was historically accurate, the event became one of the defining moments in Christian martyrdom. The allegations of Nero fiddling while Rome burned. The legend of Nero fiddling while Rome burned is likely a later exaggeration, yet it endures as a powerful symbol of his indifference to the suffering of his people. Tacitus, a Roman historian, recorded the fire in his works but made no mention of Nero playing music during the blaze. This image, however, has resonated in modern culture as a metaphor for leaders who neglect their responsibilities in favor of personal pleasure. Though Nero's legacy is controversial, some accounts suggest that he did take measures to aid the fire's victims, offering shelter and resources. Still, this perception did little to shake his reputation as a self-absorbed ruler disconnected from his people's hardships. The downfall of Nero. As Nero's reign grew increasingly tyrannical, public unrest mounted. The Senate eventually declared Nero a public enemy in 68 CE, and rebellions erupted across the empire. With military and political support rapidly eroding, Nero faced the prospect of capture and execution. In a final act of desperation, Nero chose suicide over humiliation, ending his life on June 9, 68 CE. His death marked the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, triggering a brief but intense period of civil war known as the Year of the Four Emperors, as competing factions fought for control of Rome. Nero's legacy, a tyrant or a tragic figure? Nero's legacy remains complex and debated. On one hand, he is remembered as a ruler who indulged in cruelty, extravagance, and neglect for his empire's well-being. On the other hand, some historians argue that biased accounts may have exaggerated his faults, with later sources amplifying his failings for dramatic effect. Despite this, Nero's reign undeniably highlights the perils of unchecked power and serves as a cautionary tale about the fragility of imperial authority. Nero's life and downfall remind us of the dangers inherent in absolute rule, and of the heavy toll paid when a leader prioritizes ambition over the needs of those they govern.